Yeah. Merry Christmas to you too. Story time. Yesterday was one of those days, those days happens once in a blue moon where you just do nothing. I laid in my bed for 12 hours and I listened to music. It was kind of amazing. Wouldn't suggest doing that every day. That's not an everyday thing, but once in a blue moon, oh, it felt good to do that. But I knew today I needed to give back. And I was like, okay, video, what to do? And I ran across Home Sweet Home Alone, and I was like, morbid curiosity hooked me. I need to see what all the fuss was about. Heard it was terrible, but I kind of need to see for myself. And now here I am, a broken man. But I do have a theory. Here it is. I think by the end of this class, and also, this is a really good scotch. If you're looking for a scotch that's smoky, kind of like a campfire meets a leather-bound book, it's quite good. But I think by the end of this glass, this movie will start making a lot more sense. Or at least its very existence that's now plagued humanity. But hey, Santa Scotch has arrived, so let's review. So Home Sweet Home Alone is actually a movie in concept. It could have been quite good. Actually quite excellent. It could have been a great take on the Home Alone formula, but flipped. So Home Sweet Home Alone could have been a great flip because it's not a kid who was left home alone for Christmas, and now these bandits are gonna break into his house and steal his things, and it's his house, he has to defend it. No, Home Sweet Home Alone was a kid who was left home alone for Christmas, and then this family, this couple, who also have kids, are in dire financial straits, and they need to sell their house, and they find out that they own this doll that's worth $200,000. It would really help them, but the doll's not there. And since they were selling their house, they suspect someone who was at the open house when they were showing off their house stole it, and the kid was the only one who saw it. So they're like, obviously the kid stole the doll. So we're gonna break into that house and steal our property back. Which is why I say this could have been a cool take on the Home Alone formula. Instead of having this kid who's this innocent and these bandits who are dicks and they come in and try to steal his stuff, you could have this other psychopath kid, if I'm gonna mention another Macaulay Culkin property, the good son. It's like they're breaking into the good son's house who stole their property, so the bandits are actually the good guys and the kid's a little psychopath, and so you could be rooting for the bandits this time. That could definitely work if it were, written and executed well. Also, not called Home Alone. Don't make it a Home Alone property. Make it this smaller movie. Maybe debut it at a film festival, and then you could have the critic praise when the trailer comes out to the masses after the film festival, where critics will be like, oh, it's like Home Alone with the dark twist. And I don't know about you, but I'd be like, that sounds interesting. Kind of want to see it. But no, because this movie wants to ride the coattails of Home Alone. You hear that in the musical score. The musical score throws back to the John Williams score, so it sounds familiar. It has that self-aware moment that I've seen more movies like this do, where it's a remake and they know it sucks, so they have to have this self-aware moment where one of the cast members, one of the characters, they go, why do they try to do remakes? They're never as good as the original. It's like, I see what you're doing. You're trying to soften the blow. Don't soften the blow. You know your movie sucks. That's why you said that. Manipulative, I tell you. But the home invasion parts suck too. It's not imaginative. The original Home Alone, there was a charming simplicity of them slipping on micro machines. Then in Home Alone 2, they were like, all right, let's do everything bigger. I'm not gonna lie, child Jeremy in the movie theater, I had never laughed so hard in a movie theater than when Marv is getting pummeled with bricks that Kevin's throwing from the roof. What can I say? I was laughing really hard in that movie theater. I never laughed in this movie. Like a chuckle here and there, sure. But it was more of a pity chuckle, just like in the way that they slip on the driveway and they're sliding back. And she's like, this is not working out. But it was just a chuckle. Like if this was Impractical Jokers and they were doing that thing like, hey, try not to laugh, whatever chuckle I gave wouldn't have constituted a laugh. I wouldn't have lost the challenge. It's a weird reference to whatever. It's working. But also, there's no sense of them actually making headway and getting into the house. If they spend so much time on the driveway just trying to get to the house. Also, the kid just ices the entire street leading to his house. I'm like, you didn't think that through. I mean, Home Alone law says the house, the property, anything in the property, that's fair game. But if you ice the street, yeah, it made them crash. Could have made any of your neighbors crash too. Then you'd be in a world of financial shit, or at least your parents would. Then when the dude finally gets to the porch, there's this milk and cookies that are laid out there like, dear Santa. He's like, oh, don't mind if I do. I'm like, okay, now I'm officially not rooting for you guys either, because you're idiots. Why would you eat cookies and drink the milk of the house you're breaking into? Why would you do that? It's just late. Don't. Of course they had red hot peppers in there and so burned his mouth, but that's why you don't do that. Tell you what, I feel bad for the kid in this movie. Like the actor, He was great in Jojo Rabbit. Archie Yates, he was a standout in Jojo Rabbit. He was a great pick for a kid in a Home Alone movie. How did his agent convince him to do this? You know, poor kid probably didn't know. Home Alone was huge in the early 90s and have been, well, Home Alone 3 was theatrical. But since then, been straight to DVD shit since. Instances like this always feel bad for the kid actors who are having the time of their lives. I just hope that he knows that the hate that this movie's getting has nothing to do with him. It's the studio and that soulless cash grab mentality that was this movie's inception. But that has nothing to do with him. Archie Yates, we love you. So I'm rooting for him. Archie Yates, this is for you. Rooting for you, buddy. Home Sweet Home Alone, quite simply, is the sign of the times, my friends. It's that new installment of a movie that became a franchise that was just supposed to be a couple of movies. Does all the cheap tricks to nostalgically link it to the originals, but doesn't have an original thought in its entire fucking horrid script. The biggest problem with this movie is I wasn't rooting for anybody. I wasn't rooting for the kid because I wasn't attached to the family. Like the glue that held the original Home Alone movies together, you know, that family element, that fell short in this movie. So I didn't care about the family. I didn't care about anyone in the family. So I didn't care about the kid. So at that point I was like, all right, let's root for the ones breaking into the house because they are essentially trying to get their property back, but they go about it like idiots. So I'm not rooting for them either. So I'm rooting for nobody in this movie because the movie fell short where it just couldn't fall short. And that is to justify its own existence. It never did. Home Sweet Home Alone didn't have the heart that the original Home Alone movies had. It didn't have the laughs that the original Home Alone movies had. So if you're gonna watch a Home Alone movie, just watch the original Home Alone movies. They still exist. And they're enjoyable as hell. Ever do that thing where it's a streaming service, so you're like, how much more time? God, we're only half through. Okay. I did that with this one. I heard it was dog shit. What can I say? The internet remains undefeated. It is actually telling of streaming services and what those can do for bad movies. You know, there's some sort of cinematic camouflage going on. It used to be theatrical movies. Yeah, they could be good, they could be shit, but theatrical films, they were distinctly separated from straight to DVD films. You know, they felt completely different. But now a movie can come straight to streaming service, so it leaves the audience thinking like, well, is this a straight to DVD movie that got a streaming release? Or is this a would-be theatrical release that got a streaming service release because of the COVID times? We don't really know, so shit like this gets mixed into the forefront. You start hearing more chatter about this movie when, under normal circumstances, you wouldn't have heard about this movie at all. Would have been straight to DVDs, straight to the Walmart bin, and no one would have been any the wiser. And here we are. And now we watch it. Or you don't watch it, I watch it. I take that hit for you. Merry Christmas. All right, so Home Sweet Home Alone, have you seen it? No, you haven't. But hey, it's December, it's Christmas, it's the holidays. So what's your favorite holiday movie? The one that you watch every holiday season. Whatever it is, whatever you think, comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right here to see more. Permission to come aboard.